Record. Okay, let's see if I can do that. All right, I'll start from scratch. All right, hi everyone. So we are going to be presenting the 8.0 contract that's coming out February 1st. And the changes between 7.0 and 8.0 are going to be highlighted. So I'm going to just highlighting the changes. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And then we'll, discuss those changes. But basically, we'll just briefly at this point, you don't have to worry about using it right now because it's not for use. It's just for looking at it. But it's exciting that we have things that in there is going to make our life easier. So I'll start off. This is the presentation I was on Main Street. It's a Will County Bar Association, and this is the participants that have actually created this. So you can see the association came along together with attorneys. There was IRELA, Illinois Valley Association, Main Street, NASBAR, Quincy Association. I mean, there's a bunch of the association. They came up and sat down and create this contract. So it's been adopted and it's gonna launch off February 1st. You're gonna have a couple months to adjust, so you don't have to use it right away, but that's why I want to be proactive and have you like start learning about this new contract. And once we have a couple sessions, I think you'll be very comfortable using it. All right, so at this point, this is the I'm gonna start off right away with the page number 1 because I don't want to waste time. And the changes are highlighted in yellow. So do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, good. So the changes are highlighted yellow. So I'm gonna just go through the changes because that's gonna be different from the 7.0. As you can see, single family, detached, attached, and multi-unit, which is great. It's been highlighted so we can check what the property is. We don't have to like use different contracts for different things, which is great. So now the other one, home warranty applies. There is a check here if it does apply. And then if it does apply, we have to complete paragraph 33. And we'll go back to paragraph 33, what it is. But just so you know, there needs an extra explanation because we don't want any problems. Like if you remember, we used to have a warranty, but it just says, it didn't have any details about warranty. Now it's going to help us, distinguish what is the details about this warranty. So you have to watch about 30. So I'm going to send this presentation to you in an email. So you're going to be able to go back to this presentation and look at, and then look at the yellow and see what the difference is. So we'll make it easy for you. Okay. Seller contribution to compensation, initial only one closing possession now on page 1. So seller contribution to buyer brokerage compensation. So basically, this is what is going to be initialed. You need to only initial one of these. So it will be either seller agrees to pay buyer brokerage or seller will not pay buyer brokerage. So it has to be one of these initial. So when a contract is going to be clear, so and what is a good thing about this, we're not going to be needing to use it in addendum anymore. Yay! So that's going to make our life easier and everything is going to be, in this 8.0 contract. So you're just going to say if the seller is paying compensation or not. Hopefully they're going to initial 33. Okay. And then it's going to be what is the percentage. So we are covered and safe this way. You don't have to worry about losing your commission once he's on a contract.
So I have a quick question. Can you go back up?
Yeah.
Okay, so the seller contribution broker, is that something that when we're filling out a contract on the buy side, we put that in and then they have to initial if that's okay with them, if they're going to do it?
Yeah.
Or do we leave that blank? Okay, I just want to make sure.
You need to make sure you always is on there. So whatever is agreement, if the buyer is paying you directly, then you initial 35. If the buyer is not paying directly, if the seller is paying you initial 33, and you make sure you have it here clearly what it is.
Okay.
Remember, we used to have that paragraph on 7.0 where you just add on addendum and then you have to add addendum to the contract. So this makes it so much easier for us. There's no addendum needed anymore.
Right. Okay. So basically, just to recap, so basically we would fill this out and then the seller, if they're going to pay, they'll initial.
Yes. Let them counter. Okay. Always put it in there. Have them counter.
Okay. That's what I want to make sure. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so.
Thanks.
All right. So that's 31 change. We're going to go to the next page. All right. So what is good thing? We're not going to have any issues about any other personal properties if they add much more things. And so those are the things that have been added. So, like sometimes seller would take out smart, the thermostat, they would take a video doorbell, surveyor system. So now it's in here. So you as a realtor have actually, you can ask all these questions and fill it correctly. So there's no any problem at the closing. Even it's a propane tank, you see, I would check it.
It's like a checklist. It's good.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. So it's many more things added, like a pool equipment, interior security system, smart thermostat, video doorbell. Those are the things we didn't have before. So personal property, it's been reorganized and clarifies items, and that this way there's no any issues when you have a walkthrough and a closing. They know you can go back to this list and it's gonna be listed. Make sure if you see refrigerator, wine, beverage refrigerator, whatever that is, check how many there is. I just sold a house in Palatine and they had 3 refrigerators. I sold a house in
You said it here. Can you
Yeah.
repeat what you just said?
you just make sure if there's multiple personal properties like refrigerators, there's 3 or 2 or 1.
Oh, okay, I
Just
got you.
mark down how many. Don't just check
Okay.
it. Because I
Okay.
had a closing, 2 closings actually, and both closings had 3 refrigerators. And on my last closing, my client called me and he asked me if they're not leaving those 3 refrigerators, I'm canceling the contract. So if I didn't put that in there, there would be an issue because she was selling everything out of the house. She was doing like a estate sale moving to Florida. So he was getting worried and he called me on that. He's like, I saw her moving things out. Is she going to leave out the refrigerators? I'm like, let me check, and I looked at my contract and I had 3. So that was very good.
So
But
we just put number instead of check mark or X,
just
right?
put
We
the
put a
number.
number instead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If there's a 2 washer dryer, let's say you have a house and one house has a 1 washer on the top floor, 1 in the basement, check it out. Check 2. So I would be more detailed what it is, so there's no any issues, because if you're an agent and if something happens in a closing, they're not getting it, guess who is paying for it? Either they cancel it. I mean, you don't want to be in lawsuit. All right, so yeah, be very detailed. All right, 6162. If alternative energy solar panels, yay. How about this? Solar panels. Jackie, are you there?
Yeah, good thing
Yeah.
Greg's napping. He would hate that one.
I should have this contract when I saw Greg's house. Okay, so Jackie's boyfriend or fiance, he actually bought a house with the solar panels, and we didn't have this at a contract then. So he had issues because of that. So this is great. I love this. A lot of houses now have solar panels, and I love that they add this on. Okay. And the thing is, the seller warns buyer that all fixtures, systems, and personal properties included contract shall be in operating condition at exception. So if there's anything not operating, you want to make sure you mark what's not operating. Because if you go to the walkthrough and it's not operating, they gotta pay for it.
So does that mean during the walkthrough, you have to check all the appliance then, make sure it working?
That's pretty much what's walkthrough for. You want to make sure
Okay.
the house is in the same condition as it was promised.
Okay.
Yes. So that's something you don't really check. Yeah, that's your client is checking, but you want to guide them to say, listen, you bought all this property, all these personal properties. You probably want to check if they're all working, because you don't want to be liable. That's not your job to do it, but you want to guide them to do it. Okay. 517, you see a lot of coffee making. 517, alternative energy. There is a solar panel and other. So if there's any other alternative energy, you want to mark there is an other. Okay. So this is 61 through 517. I mean, it's really nice. They're going through all this details. All right. Next one, if documents are inconsistent with representation in this paragraph or the agreement cannot be terminated or signed as a closing date, the buyer may cancel at any time. So the thing is, if these things are not consistent and they're saying they conflict each other in a contract and it's not clear, if you don't clearly state what it is, buyers can have a reasons to back out of the contract at any time, and you don't want that. You want it clear, represented correctly, so this way you don't have that issue. All right. Then number 8, financing contingency. So there's a lot of changes in here. Secondary financing or grants as follows. So there is these different kinds of financing. We had a regular FHA, VA, USDA, other, but then secondary financing grants as follows. If the buyer having applied for financial special above has received a written rejection. So this is added secondary financial, there's like different way of getting a financing. So they added that option in there as well. So this is a regular loan contingency. This is a secondary financing of grants as follows. So if there's any grants like from the government or any special financing, it needs to be put in here. You know how they have now the grants from the state? I would
Mhm.
add them on here. So this way you protect your buyer, you know. So they have a notice, they can terminate it correctly. All
So
right.
it's anything with grants or like a second loan?
Yeah, any
Okay.
any secondary funding, so anything that is not listed here, conventional FHA, VA, USDA, there's some other ways of getting a finances. So if it's a private lender, if there is a, you know, I mean, there's so many different options, you would note it here, you know. And that if buyer has not received a written rejection of financial application, but not later than financing contingency date or any extended financing contingency date agreed to parties, seller has noticed the buyer has not received such a written notice. This contract shall be voidable at the election of either party by giving notice to terminate. So otherwise the contract shall remain in full force and effect. So it just protects the buyer a little bit more, basically. It gives them a little bit more protection. Okay, so in the event the real estate is improved but has not been previously taxed for the entire year, is currently improve the sum of 3% purchase price. Oh, okay, okay. So this is something new. I'm gonna try to explain this. It's hard to explain this. Actually, they went through like 3 different attorneys explaining this to us. So basically, when we have a house and we sell a house, it is a regular house sale. There's a regular tax, right? But if the property is being improved, which means it's being remodeled or redone, the house might be retaxed in future as a higher rate, right? So at this point, we're selling a remodel house, but we're giving them an old tax bill. So what they're saying in this contract, they're protecting buyer. Oh my God. They're protecting, I might have to move. She says like very loud. Let me go back there. I'll be back.
So on that one, I'm thinking more so too with new
Okay.
construction loans.
So I hear there's a music here, just so it's like the same. All right, so they protecting the buyer and they saying the buyer has way to take a 3% of the purchase price, the deposit in escrow. Oh my, this is even worse. The deposit in escrow, so this way they can protect the buyer. So they're gonna put the money in escrow, and if the tax bill comes out next year, they'll have the money in escrow to pay the bill. If the bill is the same, they'll refund the money to the seller. So you got that?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's new construction.
Just for the
Yeah,
first year?
construction, remodel house, whatever. So if let's say house is $1 million, I mean, 3% is a lot of money. You know, it might be $30,000 you're putting in escrow. So this contract, my new contract, the contractors won't like it, but it's a good thing because I guess there was a lot of issues with the new construction or brand new homes. The tax was coming out next year and the bill was really high and the buyers didn't have money to pay the taxes and they were complaining. So this is a really good protection paragraph for that. So when you're writing this contract in future, you might want to use this as your reference. You know, I'm gonna send this to you and you can use this as your reference. Okay? There is a 10 business days, the contract. Okay, this is a new law. If there's a homeowner and flood insurance relocated, they need to have financing contingency, which means they have 10 days to buy the insurance. So you cannot just wait 10 days before the closing. 10 days after the contract is taken, you have to buy the insurance. After the contract is signed. So the buyer has to buy the insurance, flood and homeowner insurance. And why is this happening? Usually when the lender is doing a loan, they doing the loan and they qualifying the buyer and they just guessing how much is the insurance. Okay. And then on the end, before the closing, the buyer goes ahead and buys the insurance and insurance turns to be much higher. And now the buyer doesn't qualify anymore. So what they're doing now, they want to protect the seller by a buyer buying this insurance 10 days after the signatures, and then the bank can actually use the exact information to qualify the buyer. So there's no more issue about the insurance being too high, especially because insurance rates are going high now, you know?
But
So-
this is going forward, right? There's nothing to do with all the existing contract under the old.
Yes, this is going
Okay.
forward. This is with 8.0, right?
Okay.
Yeah. This is with 8.0. So what's going on that basically, you know, right now insurances are going high, right? Because of the fires in Florida, in California, fires in California, floods in Florida. So we might be feeling that insurance is gonna go higher. So me as a lender, I'm financing someone and I'm saying to them, okay, let me pre-approve you. I'm gonna use estimate, the insurance is gonna be $1,000. Well, I use this estimate, I qualify my client, she buys the property, we approve her, we run the numbers, and then we wait 10 days before the closing. I tell my client, go ahead and buy insurance now. She goes and buys insurance, and insurance is now $3,000. And now she can't buy the property anymore.
But do you anticipate any issue with the buyers? Let's say the closing is like 3-4 months later after the agreement signed. So that means the buyer had to pay all this month's insurance, not stay in the house at all.
Yes. You don't have to pay the monthly insurance. You have to get the insurance quote. And then
Oh, you get the
have to
quote,
close
not
it.
the purchase the
Yes, you
insurance.
get the
Okay, got it.
quote, You get the quote, the
Okay.
real quote, and the
Okay.
quote will say, Samantha bought insurance for this and this property, and the insurance gonna be a 560, and it's gonna start April 1st.
Got it. Got it.
And then
Thank
versus
you.
that quote, we're gonna know how much your insurance really will be, it won't change. Okay, but we need to know exact amount, so this way we can, and this is what the contract reads, we have to get this insurance purchase 10 days after the contract is signed, okay?
Got it.
Question though. All right, good job, Samantha, I'm proud of you.
I tend to ask a lot of questions, sorry.
I love it. I'm excited for you. Okay, so then we have line 187. As is condition, or representation or warranty is the physical condition of real estate initial. So this is the little bit more paragraph added. As you can see, as is always existed, right? But the paragraph that was added is a cleaner paragraph. There is no representation, warranties or guarantees, non-defect must be disclosed. So, I tell you, this is really good. And I tell you why. Sometimes we add this as is paragraph, we put as is, and then, sellers are kind of not obligated to say anything. They kind of like, I sold as is, I don't care anymore. But by this paragraph, we are forcing the seller to say, yes, there is some defects in the property. You're buying as is, but you know what? We have a flood in the basement, we're leaking roof, anything they know they're supposed to disclose. All right. So it's kind of nice. So buyers putting as is, and they know what they're getting themselves into versus like, he doesn't have to say what it is. So this is kind of nice. So seller warrants to the buyer that all fixture, system, and personal properties included in the contract shall be operating condition at possession except. So now they're gonna what is not working. And then this is the warranty for personal property. So that's separate. All right, is this clear? You just added more
Yep.
language to as is always existed. You just clarified and made more clear situation between buyer and seller.
Yes,
And
a lot more transparency.
and more transparency. Thank you. Very good. Very good. All right. So next one is inspections. You know what? We used to have inspection and I think Samantha, you had this situation where you put an offer and the seller says, you know what, I'm selling it as is, and you can't do an inspection. If you do inspection, we're not gonna sell it to you, right?
Yeah,
So
she did.
it was either waive the inspection or you have the inspection. Well, now they have three choices. You have a choice to waive the inspection. You have a choice B, right to inspection with requests, and you have choice C, right to inspection with no requests. So it's kind of nice because they're giving you now more options and clarifications. What kind of waiver inspection are you getting? Okay, so then they're going down to these A, B, and C. So right to inspection with requests, and then request for repair shall cover only So if you're gonna do requests, it's only major components. And if you're gonna waive the inspection, I would do the B if you can at all, because if there's anything major, you want them to be able to request that. And that's structural and mechanical components. I know this is a little bit overwhelming. We're going through a lot, but you know what? Don't worry. We're gonna go through this again, and I'm gonna make sure you understand this completely. But you are really so much ahead. I'm telling you, the managing brokers, 90% of them don't even know about this yet. So you are really, just kind of going briefly through the changes. So I don't even worry about remembering any of this. Okay.
So quick question, can you scroll back up to ABC? So is there a spot to put that on? Like if you decide to go with B?
Yes, there's initial right here, B.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
there's one for every one of them then.
Yes, there's initial
Okay.
for A and B and C. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So, and the B will explain you can only do structural, mechanical, shall not send any portion inspection report unless requested. And then that's another thing. The law is, if you have inspection, do not send inspection reports to the seller or selling agent unless they requested it. It's illegal for you to do that. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but I'm just want to make sure you understand that. The reason is, and also when you are selling a property, do not ask for inspection report or, send it to your seller unless your seller instructed you to. Okay, you cannot, because the reason is behind it. Does anyone know the reason?
Because once you know you're obligated, you have to say something.
Once you know you're obligated to post it in MLS, post it everywhere, disclose it everywhere, seller has to disclose it everywhere. So now it's going to be like problem. So you don't want to know, because once you know, you know. And I had to cancel one of my listings one time, $1 million listing, give it to someone else because my client didn't want to disclose. And I had to I said, I know I have to disclose. I have to give it back to you. I gave the listing back to my client because we
Wow.
found out there was a roof leak. And I said, listen, we gotta disclose this. I know you fixed it, but I had to disclose it. And he's like, I'm not disclosing. I had to remove the listing from my MLS because, he listed with someone else and sold it to a poor buyer who probably never knew about that. So once you know, you gotta disclose. It's not ethical to, so as your listing agent, you always want to discuss this with the seller and have a seller make that decision. Okay.
Okay, but once it's requested, if there's any defects, they had to report it.
Any defects, they
Okay.
know they have to report it.
Okay,
And that was one of the first pages. If they don't report it and you come into the house and you find out there was a defect, you have a lawsuit. You can sue them back. So that's the thing. Once you know, and me as an agent, if I know something I have to disclose, I can't hide. And then also the seller as a seller cannot disclose. It has to disclose. He cannot hide. Okay, to be obligated by this contract. Okay. And then number C, if you remember, there was C, right to inspection with no request. So reveals the condition of real estate is unacceptable to the buyer by seller within 5 days. So if you have inspection and you can't ask for anything, your only choice if you find a problem is to cancel the contract, and you have 5 days to do so. So you're still out of the woods because you could definitely cancel the contract. So what I like about this one, B, you still have a chance to save the contract. But with the initially C, you don't have any chance to save the contract. So if you're negotiating this with a selling agent, a seller, you might want to tell the agent, say, listen, I know there's nothing wrong with the house, but if you find something big and huge, at least B gives us a chance to renegotiate, otherwise we have to cancel. So then you're going back into the C. Okay. So you understand, designed to clarify expectation for both buyer and seller agreeing as is offers. Any request gives seller the right to terminate. So you come back and you start asking for things. In this one, even if you don't have the right to ask, he has chance to terminate the contract. Versus here, if you ask, he cannot terminate. He has to negotiate or either then, terminate if you don't agree. Okay. So I kind of like this so much better than just as is. It gives you much more choices. I know the contract is getting bigger and bigger, but it's okay. All right, so Now the next one, repair request agreement. All right, so what they're looking from us to do is from now on, try to negotiate repairs. If there is any repairs request, like before, what happens, inspection, oh, we have 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna try to rush it up. So if we have a repair request and the agent will say, oh, call the attorney, have them negotiate it. Well, what they're asking us to do this now. The repair request agreement is something that we can negotiate between agents and then submit this to attorneys.
But you can still use the attorney if you choose, correct?
You can still use the attorney, but then they prefer agents to do this.
Okay.
But it is optional, right?
Okay.
Okay. 245, so it's a part of the contract. It's like an addendum to the contract. 245, 16, additional inspection not subject to paragraph 14 and 15. So if there's any additional inspection like wood destroying insects, sanitary, so this, I'm just gonna go through this really fast because, this is something we don't really have a lot, but then valve and sanitary, I sold the properties with valve and sanitary system. If there's a more than $5,000 repair, it triggers cancellation automatically. Then you're going down to seller representations regarding notifications and knowledge. So this is what Samantha was asking. Seller has to disclose everything he knows about the property. And that's we as the agents, we have to make sure we make them understand when they're signing a contract, it's a contract. And then if they're hiding something, they can bite them in a butt, right? So they don't have to disclose if they're not aware. Once they become aware, that's when they have to disclose. So they added additional language to this 359 to 363. So if there's any special assessment by government, any proposed pending special assessments, any improvements to real estate which are not included. Improvements are also something they have to disclose because the tax will be reassessed. I guess they're going back to tax. Okay, so you can be able to read this. 27, direction to the escrow. If the escrow is licensed Illinois real estate brokerage, escrow may give him written notice. So this is the new law because this is only if we are as the agency holding the escrow, we can renegotiate the escrow ourselves or how to handle the escrow. Otherwise, it has to be done by attorneys. And if the party objects in writing, so basically we as an office, we could like redirect the money where it's gonna go, but it has to be just given with a notice, basically. You can kind of clarify disbursements option with 14 days notice available in brokerages escrow. So we don't really hold money, but I actually am applying to hold the money. So it's gonna be optional for our office, but it's not a big change. You don't have to worry too much about this right now. Backup contracts now, 3 situations. Okay, so this is the cancellation of prior real estate contracts. So we have to initial it, right? That was changed. We didn't have this before. In the event seller has entered into prior real estate contract, so they only had this option, number 500. But this is now added on to additional language. There are two other situations. In the event seller has entered into prior real estate contract that is not contingent upon the sale of a closing or sale or purchase of real estate, this contract shall be subject to written cancellation of the prior contract on or before. So it gives a date. Accept the requirements of deposit of earnest money, the number of business days. So it just gives you option that if the seller has entered in this contract, they gives them a date when they can cancel it written cancellation. And then it gives you so this is a third option. In the event buyer has entered the prior contract, this contract shall be contingent upon notice by buyer to seller on or before. Okay, so it's just the 3 different ways. You might want to kind of read about this. The number 500 is the regular way we used to always have. Okay. Then performance. It's about times of the essence in action. This is all legal stuff now. I mean, I'm gonna try to like explain as best as I can, but I don't know if Alina is not on a call, right? No, okay.
I joined.
I saw her.
Did you want to explain 29?
29, basically if there's a breach, in all honesty, the best part of this particular 8.0, 7.0 had the same thing. The Chicago Association of Realtors contract does not have this. What's nice about this is that for buyer, that there is a portion that says prevailing party will be entitled to collect reasonable attorney's fees and costs. So basically the winner gets to collect the costs from the loser. And the reason it's good for the buyer is because a lot of times, when the buyer's trying to cancel for whatever reason, the inspection didn't go well or whatever, the sellers will try to push the envelope on releasing the earnest money. And this is a nice thing for me to use, for example, to say, well, do you really want to go to court? Because then you'll be responsible, in addition to releasing the earnest money, for attorney's fees and costs and all of that. So kind of pushes, but other than that, I don't see it as that much different from what we had
It's just
before.
extra protection, some extra
Yeah.
like legal language. So I'm not really sure. That's why I asked you to explain that. Okay,
Yeah.
addendums. So now they add extra addendums to the contract, which is appraisal addendum. So let's say you overpriced, the property is overpriced and you don't think it's gonna appraise. We can use the appraisal addendum, so which is amazing. Multi-unit addendum, if there's a unit, so you want to use that addendum, it's going to be separated, and that addendum is going to explain rent rolls and everything, how much rent, when the security deposits and all that. Reverse contingency addendum and short sale addendum. So it's kind of nice. It gives them extra explanation besides all the other addendums we used to always have. New and revised forms for agent toolbox. So this is going to be new and revised tools, repair request agreement, intent to escalate, reverse contingency, amendment notice and respond, mutual cancellation agreement. So those are all revised. You can read them through, I'm not sure if you see my appraisal addendum and short sale addendum. I guess they're expecting there are going to be more short sales coming out. So they're coming up with this extra.
Meldina,
Yes.
I know you don't have much time, but will you be doing another Zoom of this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Yeah. Probably right away. We can do one this week, or we can do right away next week again, same day, same time, because this is coming up February 1st. And I'm gonna, Steven, send all of you email with this presentation.
Okay.
So you're gonna have it, so you can review it. Okay. I know I
Okay.
sent you contract already, but I'm just gonna send you this revisions.
All right.
Okay.
And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have too. So, because we're actually going to have a Zoom call tomorrow with some of the drafters of the contract. So,
Nice.
Everybody getting trained on this now. Code of Ethics, Article 9. It's about protection that all agreement related to real estate transactions, including purchase contracts, are in writing and clear, understandable language. So Code of Ethics, that everything has to be clear. We have contractual relationships with our clients, and the only thing what is saying, I don't know, do you guys know what is the Code of Ethics number 9? Do you guys know what it is?
What say that again?
Do you understand what's a Code of Ethics and article number 9?
I know what Code of Ethics is. I don't know specific.
Article 9. Okay, Article 9 is an add-on as of to explanation to our clients that we have obligation to explain our clients what they're signing. So if we send the client electronic signatures to sign a contract, we are obligated to explain them what they're signing, right? So basically, yes, some contracts are, some people are more savvy than others. Some people can figure it out on their own. But if the client has a questions, or if the client is not sure about what they're signing, we are obligated to explain them. And that's what the Code of Article number 9. We have to take our time to explain and disclose specific terms of the contractual relationship being established prior to being agreed to by contracting party. So prior to signing it, he needs to understand what they're signing. So that's added on to the Code of Ethics. That's additional article right now. Okay. I think that's general contracting session. So this is just the paragraphs. Oh, this just explains the paragraphs, what it is. I already kind of went through all this. Basically, but it will give you breakdown what I explained. I'll send you all this. So I don't know. I know I have like a 1 minute left, but I think I did good. I would speed it through it. I'm gonna stop recording now. And I'll send you the, let's see.